Today's video is on adding and subtracting fractions, and if you would take out your spiral notebook and pencil and then copy down this vocabulary word and make sure you truly remember and understand what an LCD and how that is the same as an LCM. Jot that down and then come on back and we'll keep going. Alright, now at this point I need to be under the assumption that you know how to find the LCD or the LCM. I'm going to do a very quick brief review. If you need to, pause the video, go back and rewatch it again, or see if you can look up more detailed information either on the internet or in your notes from last year, or you can come and see me if you need more help. But here we have LCM and LCD. You're going to take the two denominators, and let's just say it happens to be 8 and 12. What you're going to do is either the ladder method, or you can do the factor tree method, or you can think about your fact families for 8 and 12 and think through when does 8 and 12 meet up for your fact tables. I usually take my smaller number and I multiply up. And I'm thinking, all right, 8 times 2 is 16. 12 doesn't go into 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 12 does go into 24. So that can work as well. Here is the ladder method, and here are the steps for using the ladder method. This is my personal preference. I'm going to divide 2 into 8 and 12. I'm going to divide 2 into 4 and 6, and then I'm going to take all the numbers on the outside and multiply them together. This is just basically repeated division over and over again. You're choosing one number that goes into both, and that works for just about all situations. When you have 3 numbers, there is one small change, but we'll just stick with 2 for now. Here is the factor tree method, which you might remember from last year. You do the factor tree for both numbers and find the prime factorizations. You write them on top of each other. That makes it help you a little bit. You're going to be looking for the pairs of numbers. Notice here, 2's and 2's. Those both make pairs of 2's. They both have a 2 involved here, and that's the tricky part. You're going to pull out one pair of 2's, another pair of 2's, and then you're going to multiply all the numbers that are left over. So you've got 2 different pairs of 2's, and then you have a 2 and a 3 left over. That's a real quick review. If you need to, you can pause the video, or you can look up further information about finding the LCM. Okay? Another quick review topic is mixed to improper, improper to mixed. So you can see the directions here. If you have a mixed number, notice the negative there. If you multiply and then add and your answer goes up top, notice the denominator is the same, and that's a negative. And then here, how many times does 7 go into 9? Well, it goes in 1 time, so that's your whole number, with 2 left over. So that's your numerator. Remember, that's a negative. Again, this is a real quick review of mixed to improper, improper to mixed, but feel free to look up more detailed information if you can't remember. All right, now fractions. Here are all the steps for fractions. You can see why students really do not care for fractions for the most part, because there are so many steps in order to solve them. What I've highlighted for you here are the 2 new pieces of information for you for 7th grade, and that's dealing with the integers. Everything else here is the same fraction steps you've done all along. We're just adding in the integer rules. So take a look at these examples here, and then you can pause the video and copy down the steps after. Here, looking at this example, you have a positive and a negative. Remember that song, different signs, subtract? So we're really subtracting the numbers, and I might even put that here. Subtract the 2 fractions. Common denominator, make sure you change those numerators, right? So we subtract the numbers and then take the sign of the higher number. Which one is bigger, 3/6 or 2/6? 3/6 is bigger, and that's the positive, so your answer is positive. Do you see how the integers integrate into the fractions? We're taking what you already know and just applying those integer rules. All right, take a look at this one. Keep, change, change. Same signs now. Same signs, add and keep. So we're going to add those 2 numbers, and if it helps, I can erase this part. We're going to add those 2 numbers and then keep the sign. These are both negative, so we're going to keep it negative. The biggest thing is to make sure you check that final step. Is that answer positive or negative? A lot of people forget to leave off the negative or the positive sign in the end, and they get confused. So think about that song at the very end. Here's one more example for you. Keep, change, change. Different signs, subtract. Notice what I've done here. I've put the bigger number on top, because when I'm subtracting the numbers, that'll make it easier for me. So subtract the numbers. So I'm putting the 5 and 2 7s on top. I've got my common denominators, change my numerators, subtract, and then take the sign of the higher number. Higher number is the 5. All right, so we've got -3 and 1/28. Again, why don't you pause the video, jot down the steps, and see if you can write off to the side next to each example, what are the key main ideas for each one? And then come on back and I'm going to give you some examples for you to try on your own. All right, time for you to give it a try.
The Language Arts Department meeting is now starting. The Language Arts Department meeting is now starting.
Here are 4 examples for you to try on your own. Pause the video, work them out, and then come on back and I'll review them with you. All right, number 1, did you do keep, change, change? All right, now we have different signs, a negative and a positive, so we're going to subtract. I would put the 3 on top, common denominator, change the numerators, that comes out to be 91 and 30. Now we're subtracting, so you get 60, and 3 minus 0 is 3. We can reduce that by taking out the zeros. Take the sign, it's different sign, subtract, take the sign of the higher number. Let's go back, higher number is positive. Always go back and make sure that you check. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, keep, change, change. All right, same signs, add and keep. All right. Common denominator. Make sure you change those numerators. We are same signs adding. We're adding those. I like to keep my sign there so I don't get confused. And don't forget to reduce. Remember, 10 goes into 11 one time. So I'm going to add that 1 to the 6. And I have 1 left over. All right, this is same signs, add and keep. These are both negative, so this is a negative 7 and 1/10. All right. Number 3, we've got different signs, so you should be subtracting. I'm going to put the big number on top. Makes it easier for my subtraction. Okay, common denominator. Make sure you change those numerators. And now, this is, take the sign of the higher number, so you should have a -2. Okay? All right, and for that last one, if you do keep, change, change, this is what you end up with. Did you notice that they're all negative? So you want to start with finding a common denominator for all of them. This one is a little bit easier because all of the denominators kind of go together, so you can change them all right there from the start and make them all 40. Don't forget to change your numerators. That's a key step a lot of students forget to do. So you should have a 5, a 16, and a 36. All right, now that you've got all common denominators, we are adding, and they are all negative. So you can go right across there. They're all negative, so you know the answer is going to be negative. And if you put them all together, this should be your answer. Don't forget to reduce. How many 40s go into 57? 1, so add that to your -9. And here's your final answer. When you come to class, we'll do some more examples. See you then.